May I have everyone's attention, please?
Good evening and welcome to the guest speaker program.
Standing behind me and a little new at this are four of our senior My Brother's Keeper fellows. There are 34 fellows here in Ellenville, My Brother's Keeper fellows. And I'd just like to make sure I got everybody. Would everybody who's an MBK fellow please raise your hand? Okay, thank you. We all decided to sit together. And then, are there any students here from our newly formed My Sister's Keeper? Raise your hand. Okay, thank you very much. Anyway, on behalf of the My Brother's Keeper program in Ellenville Junior Senior High School, I'd like to welcome everybody here. This year, the MBK program decided that we would take charge in terms of figuring out who do we want to meet, who do we want to hear from, who's important in the community, who may have messages for us as we develop ourselves towards adulthood. And so we came up with 3 people this year. It took us a while to figure it out, but we were honored through a special connection to have this afternoon's speaker, Justice Kevin Bryant. For those of you who are going to be coming to our others next week, not next week, in 2 weeks, we'll have Justice Will Sanchez from Dutchess County, and in May we're going to have Essie Lewis, Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. So we are honored to begin today, and I'm honored to have my fellows here. I know I took you out of classes that you probably hated missing. And I want to introduce, so that we have as much time with him as possible, Honorable Justice Kevin Bryant. Please.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Ellenville students, my brothers and my sisters. I am actually honored to be here with you. I am very honored to be here. Because as I stand here and I look at every one of you, I'm looking at the way I was. I am looking at my future. And while you sit there today and may have doubts about what you plan on doing in your future, how your life is going to turn out, you need to understand that you are so very important and that you have big things that are coming your way. Now, I don't care what type of student you think you are. I don't care whether you believe at this point in time that your future is promising. You see, at this stage, you haven't had any real life experiences. You're just feeling yourselves out. You're starting to try and figure out what you want to do with yourselves. I was there. And I was probably in a worse situation than you are today, or at least just as bad. You know, I came from a broken family, living in the projects. It was serious, it was dangerous. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was in the bottom of my class. In fact, when I met my guidance counselor, he was a new guidance counselor for me, he looked at my transcript and said, well, Kevin, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you can find a job and hold on to it. Now, I will say this, there was good reason for him to have doubt. Whether or not that was the right approach with me, who knows? But I used it to my advantage. And as you go on in life, you guys will find yourselves in situations where people will tell you things you don't like, things that will get you upset and angry. But what you choose to do with the information that you're given is ultimately going to determine how things turn out for you. You see, I could have gotten real angry, I could have gotten real nasty, I could have been disrespectful. But what I had to do was I had to take a hard look at myself. There's a reason that he was saying this, and I had to ask myself to what extent did I give him a reason? And then I had to say, well, what am I going to do about it? It burned me inside. I never forgot it, and I used it as motivation. And while I was at the bottom of my class in high school, and I really was, I developed maturity. I went on to college, I started working with kids. I started to find my purpose. And that was helping people with the issues and problems that they had. Now I can tell you, when I was in high school, I had no idea that that was the path I would be on. But I was on that path, and I was starting to find myself. I eventually went to Ulster, where I started to get a little more serious. See, this is what you have to understand. In high school, I didn't do any work. In retrospect, that is a very bad thing, because I didn't try. Who knows where I could be if I had tried earlier. I'm very happy with the way things turned out, don't get me wrong. I encourage everyone to do the best that you can. But I went from not doing anything in high school to eventually working full-time, 40-plus hours, and carrying 12 to 18 credits a semester. I used that bad information that I felt was bad information, that negative information that made me very angry, and I used it in a positive way. And I went to Ulster. I went on to New Paltz. Got my degree in political science there. I wasn't sure exactly what I was doing or where I would ultimately land, but I knew that continuing on, and it doesn't have to be college. There are trades, there are a number of different things that are options, but I just knew I could do better. And you know, on my final days, I want to be able to say, just like any athlete that has ever competed in anything, I laid it on the field, I gave my best effort. And that's basically been my approach in life. And so, there, I worked hard in New Paltz, and continuing to work with kids, which helped me find my purpose, helping to help them deal with issues that they were going through, finding myself in a position where I would answer questions, hear the issues that they went through, and try and help them find some resolution. I was able to help people. I found purpose. And eventually graduated from New Paltz and went on to law school. I worked hard. I had to put a lot of time and effort into it. It wasn't easy, but I never gave up on myself, and for anyone else that was giving up on me, I had something I was going to show them. And I would hope that to the extent that you hear this, that you will take the same approach for yourselves. People think they know you, they judge you, they look at you, and they think they have you sized up. It's up to you. It's all in your control as to how this is all going to turn out. So I finished up law school, worked in the DA's office, then went to the public defender's office, had my own practice, eventually became corporation counsel of the city of Kingston. For all those that aren't familiar with the city of Kingston, corporation counsel is up, the city hall is up on a hill. It overlooks Kingston High School. I can't imagine, but you probably can't imagine how good it felt to look down on the high school knowing that I was the chief attorney responsible for a lot of what the city was involved in. And it's just funny how things turn out. You have the ability to do so many things. And so I did that for 6 years, and then I ran in November of 21, and I am a Supreme Court Justice. and I have general jurisdiction for anything that happens within the entire state. I rule and make decisions on cases that involve individuals and corporations that are outside of the state. And so, the one person who maybe wasn't promising and some didn't feel was going to hold the job, I would say things have changed. Things have changed in a good way. And what I didn't do was let someone else make a determination as to how I was going to move in my life. You're going to have challenges. You're going to have people disrespect you. You're going to have people that are going to try and push your buttons. You have it, you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. The question is, how are you going to handle it? Acting out, being disrespectful, is ultimately going to give them the W. It's going to give them the win because you're going to get yourselves in trouble. And then trying to dig out of that is going to be difficult. And then when there are records, criminal records, or any type of negative action that you're involved with, it sticks with you. And I know at times we like to look at things that are immediately happening and assess how we think and how fun it would be at that very moment, and we really don't think about the consequences of our actions at the time. The one thing I used to tell the residents at St. Green Home was, you all have dreams. And if you don't, you should. Develop them. Pay attention to the things that you're interested in. Look at what others are doing with it. Look at your heroes that are doing positive things. What can you do? How can you pursue your dreams? And so what I would tell them is, when you're about to act, you're about to do something, you're given a choice. You know that it's questionable. Maybe your friend isn't the right role model, or doesn't do always the things that you're comfortable with. But what you need to ask yourself, take a good 10, 15 seconds and ask yourself, is this going to, if I do this, will it get me closer, or will it get me further away from my dreams? And if it's not going to get you closer to where you ultimately want to go, it's not worth it. It's really not worth it. I look at you as my future, each and every one of you. You don't realize it. You don't realize what big things you're going to be doing. You will be doing big things. You need to acknowledge that, believe it, and carry yourself as if you have big things coming your way and you can't afford to jeopardize the big plans that are before you. They're there. You may not see it. I want you to remember this moment. I told you. Because that's what's in store for your futures. All you have to do is put the effort into it and believe it. And I think each and every one of you will succeed. And I want you to understand what success is. Success doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a judge. Success is being able to help other people to make a difference in anyone's life. You all have a purpose. You may not know exactly what it is now, but you will find it. You have to believe that, and you have to carry yourself that way. And when the troubling opportunities come your way, you have to say to yourself, I just can't do this with you. I have a much bigger purpose. And this is not, taking this step is not going to help me. So tell me, raise your hand if you're doing really well in school. Okay, some of you are, and that's a good thing. How many of you wish that you could be or should be doing better? You know what? All of you can do better. And it's not that hard, and it's going to be easier when you have a clear idea of how you want to move forward in your life. Part of the reason that I didn't do as well was, certain difficulties that I had at home. But I didn't know what I wanted to do at the time. And eventually you find yourself. Sometimes I would talk to, older adults that had different experiences that I didn't, to hear their life's experiences so I could get a different idea of what opportunities there were out there. You're where I was. I'm telling you, you may feel like, gee, he's a judge. I am no different than what you were, and probably in a worse position than many of you were. Anything is possible. Anything you put your mind to and that you're committed to is possible. And despite what anyone else says, you just use it as motivation. And you have to believe in yourself. People will see you. They will follow. They will learn from your example when you believe that you are capable of more. All I want you, if there's anything that I want you to believe as a result of listening to me, is that much greater things are in store for you. I don't care what you've done, how disappointed you may be in the way things are going now. Things are going to change. And all you have to do is, one, believe in yourself. Believe there's something greater in store for you, and be able to work for it. Be willing to work for it. Is there anyone that at this point has any questions? Please.
At what point do you think that you switched around?
You know what? St. Bringing home, for me, was pivotal in my life, in the sense that I had 12 to 18-year-old residents that were going through difficult times, that needed someone who they could ask questions to, someone who was accessible, who would be willing to listen to them and offer suggestions. And it was at that point that I realized that whatever I said, I not only had to believe, but I had to show and live. See, the good thing about St. Cabrini Home, these residents would call you out and would put you in your place if you were phony, two-faced, not believable, untrustworthy. And so, if you weren't sincere about what you were saying, you were going to be called out. And so that additional responsibility of having students your ages, residents your ages, it made me want to do better, because when you see an individual appreciate your effort, there is nothing like it. You want to pass something on in life at the point that you're at right now? Tell your teacher how much you appreciated whatever effort that they put in at any particular time. How is that going to be passed on? Well, The teacher is going to think, I didn't realize that they were paying so close attention to what I was saying or doing at the time. And that is the type of thing that gives them an energy boost to go on and help another student with the same level of enthusiasm. Is there another question? Understand no question is too silly. Sir, you in the back.
What's your favorite NBA team?
Excuse me?
What's your favorite NBA team?
My favorite NBA team. Well, you know, I'm a Knick fan.
Me too.
I am a Net fan. I'm a New York fan with just about all teams. Does that help you moving forward? Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? Please.
So, on behalf of some of the students here are in government classes, English writing classes, and some will be. And the question came up when we were developing, what we should say when you're here, is what is it like to be the Supreme Court Justice in New York State? What comes before you? What do you do? What does that mean?
I have, as a judge, I have the widest range of cases. They can be anywhere from matrimonials to personal injury to actions involving government and the state. So I make decisions that impact not only businesses within the state, but businesses outside the state. I make decisions that impact the individuals within the state and the ones that want to be involved in some actions within the state. It's a great responsibility. There are sleepless nights at times because I want to make the right decision. And I want to try and consider every variable with respect to every decision that I make. It's rewarding. It's rewarding because, like I said before, I wanted to help people. And I am. I'm helping people through difficult issues that they have. And when you help bring justice, you, in essence, make life a little easier, a little safer. If I can resolve issues, then it's less of an opportunity that someone will act out and try and resolve the problem in a way that isn't in anyone's best interest. So to be a judge is a great responsibility. To give everyone the opportunity to have their disputes handled in a respectful manner, it is an absolute honor. And I want to make a difference. And being in this position allows me to make complicated decisions that have wide-ranging impacts. And it's an honor. It's an honor because very few people get the opportunity to be in this position. And of course, I always revert back and use my past experiences as motivation to continue to grind, try harder, do better. And yeah, it's a true honor.
In terms of law school, how many years?
Law school is 3 years, so I have a 4-year degree. My bachelor's is from New Paltz. I went to Ulster, which understand that when you're trying to find yourself, a community college is a fantastic resource because you're just learning. You're just learning how to handle your independence. You're learning what opportunities are out there and are available. You know, in this area that we live in, there's not a whole lot of choices and options. And so by, you know, getting an education, you're able to see a much broader picture of what's available. Now, granted, I want you to all understand that a college degree is not necessary. There are fine trades, there are a number of things that you can do. And, you know, find what interests you. And there are a lot of positive things that you can do.
So somebody with a question.
All right, since you asked one already, let me go to the gentleman right behind you, and I'll get back to you.
What was your favorite case you've ever worked? Can you repeat the question?
He asked me about my favorite case. I have such a wide range of cases, so many different ones, and that is it's a difficult question to answer because I don't know if there is one particular case, and frankly, I look at every single case as the most important thing. Because it affects everyone's lives. The people in that case, there is nothing more important to them. And so if I start ranking or viewing particular matters as more pleasurable or greater, I don't know if that's necessarily the way I want to view it. So is there a favorite? There's no favorite case. My favorite cases, let's do it this way. My favorite cases are the ones that I can help the parties come to a resolution without necessarily having to make the final determination. So if I can get them to settle and find that midpoint where each feels satisfied to a degree that they can put this behind and move forward in their lives, then I don't think anything gets better for me than that.
Do you feel any extra pressure being the first African American elected to your position in the district that you serve?
Well, you need to understand is that a number of the positions that I've had, I have been the first. So I've been well aware of that. Did everybody understand the question? All right, so, and so, from my perspective, I always feel that someone is watching. I always feel like I have to be an example that I want to open the door and not make me being the first like this or that as something unusual. I want to open a door that makes it available for everyone. And so the path is, there have been people that have laid the path for me. And so I'm just doing something and I don't want to jeopardize it for someone else. I want to have you guys and girls look at me like, well, gee, if he can do it, why can't I? And there's no reason that you can't. And so I'm mindful that I'm in this position and the way I carry myself is going to have a ripple effect. And I'm cautious about the way I conduct myself. And so, do I feel additional pressure? I guess, but it's something that I'm just so accustomed to because a lot of the positions that I've had, I was the first Black corporation counsel in the history of Kingston. I mean, I am the first man of color elected not only in the 3rd district, which is 7 counties, but the 3rd department, which is 28 counties. I don't know if you guys caught this. I said I was the first man of color. Girls, what does that mean? That's right, the first person of color elected to the state Supreme Court in the entire 3rd department. Her name is Christina Reba from Albany, and she is a black woman. There's still a lot of history to be made. And when you get these different opportunities, you try and make the most of it, you try and keep the door open, and lay a path down for others to follow. We all have a purpose. To the extent that you know what it is now, you may not, but eventually you will. And you'll handle it accordingly. Sir?
Was it easy to make friends in the projects where you were?
You know what? Was it easy to make friends? Not really. It wasn't hard, but I'm not the type of person that just wants to make a friend. I can find and develop a friendship with anybody that I would really choose to or try to, but I don't want to be a friend with everyone. There are certain people that do certain things that frankly I don't want a part of. And so, you know, eventually you find someone who looks at things similar to you, different things that you have in common, and someone that is, you know, focused on the things that you want. And so it's not easy. But that shouldn't discourage you from being friendly, approachable, and kind to others. Because eventually you will find a friend, if that's what you're looking for. Are there any other questions? I was a general practice attorney, so I was in the DA's office out of law school. And then I eventually went to the public defender's office, representing the indigent. And simultaneously I opened up my own practice, doing both private practice work and as a public defender part-time. And so I wore a lot of different hats that gave me a lot of different experiences.
I was just going to ask, what college did you go to for football?
So I went to SUNY New Paltz for my bachelor's, and I went to Albany Law School for my law degree.
What sports did you play any sports?
I did. I played, in high school I played basketball, and at Ulster I played basketball, baseball, and football.
Hello. Do you think Judge Judy is a good judge?
The question was, do I think Judge Judy is a good judge? Well, I'll put it like this. I can't really say that I spent a whole lot of time watching her. And so my assessment may not be the best for you.
As far as how much you bench?
Excuse me?
How much do you bench press?
I don't bench anymore. Those days are over. In the back.
Yeah, for like any kids that are looking to get into like a government position or want to get involved now, try to kind of learn and see what it's about, if they even like it, what kind of advice or resources would you say that they can do to start learning about government and seeing if it's something that they're interested
I know the county has different departments and they've taken on students, and so there's a summer program by which they hire to the extent that the teachers here reach out to the various departments or the judges in Supreme Court or any of the judges in the county, there's always the opportunity to go and observe. And so you can actually watch proceedings take place. And so, you know, for those that are interested in government, you could go to Kingston City Hall, to the Common Council meetings. Watch what transpires there, because you see the issues that are raised, you hear the responses to questions asked by the general public, and you see the representatives within the various Kingston departments that are answering questions. I mean, they're, you know, your local city council meetings is a great place for you to go and observe as to what is happening, because a lot of the decisions that they make will potentially affect you guys. And as you sit there and listen, different things are going to draw more interest from you. And never be afraid to reach out to your elected officials and communicate whatever interest you have, because they may have ideas and connections, so you can observe other things.
Bryant, I have a question. We have a lot of seniors here that are going to be going on to college. Could you speak a little bit about the ways, if any, that financial aid helped you get to the goal that you wanted to reach?
I was an EOP student.
Could you explain what that is a little bit?
And so I was in a program that provided funding for me to go to school. And I wasn't a great student at the time. And so these are resources that are available to everyone. These are programs that not only give you financial support, but can actually provide you with support while you're in school. Support with, you know, assistance coordinating study groups and helping you deal with that transition. It's a program that I wouldn't be here today without. It's something that is available to all of you. It's something that I strongly suggest that you look into. Unless you're just rolling in money and you don't need it. Surely that was not me. That is an option that is available to all of you.
And how far was the EOP program able to take you in your academic journey?
You know, I was an EOP student through New Paltz. Now I didn't, because I was working, I didn't get the financial benefit, but as I was saying, that there were other benefits that were associated with being an EOP student. And some of the challenges that you find yourself going through as a student, to have support available is something that you can't put a dollar value on.
How did you work through your generational versus your family? Did you let yourself with your family in a program?
You know what, I believed that there was more in store for me. You know, there were times that I would sit through classes, have ideas, and maybe I was reluctant to voice my opinions because maybe I just wasn't as confident at the time. But when I heard somebody else utter an answer that I knew, agreed with, and felt that I could even take it further and delve a little deeper, at some point, I opened up my mouth. And as a matter of fact, there was a professor at New Paltz. He asked a question, called on me, and I gave him a response. And it was a big enough class, and I felt enough people were watching that I felt I had to come out with a good response. And so I did, and he called me out and said, "You're not going to sit in my class and keep your mouth shut anymore. Now you can either raise your hand and offer offer answers, or else I'm going to put you on the spot, and I'm going to try and embarrass you." And I was like, "All right, you don't have to do that. I got you." And so, you know, every approach is different. How you deal with it is another thing. But you know, there were certain pivotal moments that I was able to really transform into the individual I am today. But when I say I was you, I'm telling you on so many different levels. I'm sure, without going into detail, we've had a lot of similar experiences. And that's why I want you all to believe that you have great futures ahead of you. Now, you're looking at your future right now, maybe a little older, a little less hair, but listen, you guys have it in you. You have big things coming your way. Is there anything?
That's my last question. So you've been doing law for a long time. You've been on both sides, prosecution, defense, and now a judge. Do you think there's been much progress in the judicial system with more restorative justice and everything?
I think they're trying to find a sweet spot. And it's a work in progress as it is with all things. There's always good intentions. Whether the initial rollout is exactly ideal, it generally doesn't work that way, but eventually things get refined, improved, and I think we can only look at this in a positive light and believe that with everyone's participation, suggesting improvements that can be made, it'll only get better. Again, it has absolutely been my pleasure to be here with all of you. And I really, really want you all to understand, when I say that your future is promising, it starts with you believing that. If you believe that, you're going to see positive things come your way and happen for you. It really will. But you have to believe that. And when you see good things happen to others and you're saying, and you're afraid or reluctant to take different chances, ask yourself, why can't that happen for me? Why not me? I can tell you, I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time asking yourselves that. Because I can assure you, you're not going to come up with a good enough answer. Because it's yours for the taking. You just have to believe it.
Good afternoon, everybody. Please punch up to me.
Thank you, everyone.